Luffy's fruit is the Gomu Gomu no Mi. His ultimate goal is to become the Pirate King. Buggy is an emperor of the sea. Imagine going back in time 1 year and telling yourself that one of these facts is true, and it's the one that it is. Hello humans of the world, I'm Dawn of the World. We have a lot to unpack here today, and welcome aboard. I got this new wig here just today, so we're trying something new. Remember about 6 months back when Oda said to us, hey, you remember how Luffy's fruit is the Gomu Gomu no Mi and you've thought that way for 25 years? Think again. Well, he's done that again, but this time in regards to something that is possibly more integral to our perceptions of the series as a whole. Oh, you think Luffy's ultimate dream is to become the king of the pirates? Well, that's a bold assumption now, isn't it? What a crazy 2022 it has been, because the phrase Luffy ate the Gomu Gomu no Mi and his ultimate dream is to become the pirate king is not only no longer true, but for these past 25 years, it's never really been true. There still is the technicality that he does very much want to become Pirate King, but now we know that that's simply a means to an end. Rather than being the final goal, the achievement of Pirate King is just a necessary step towards whatever it may be that Luffy ultimately wants to achieve. In the same way that someone might want to become a scriptwriter or film director so that they can live their dream of bringing a story that has been in their brains for many years to life, Luffy wants to become Pirate King so that he can then go about his ultimate dream of... At best, we know part A of Luffy's dream, and we're not seeing the full picture. I've briefly touched on this before, but Luffy is a lot smarter than anyone gives him credit. And I'm not even referring to his emotional intelligence right now, but rather in the more tactical and planned approaches that he takes. We most commonly see this vein of his intelligence when he's fighting an opponent, but it seems to have manifested in other ways here and there as well. He's been following this plan since he was a child. Ever since he was a child and realized what his dream was, he already knew that he would need to become Pirate King in order to make that dream a reality, so he has been following that plan ever since. And now we're at a point where twice in the last 6 months we've had these series-changing revelations concerning the main character that are going to be so salient upon whenever we next reread the series. There are of course numerous occasions that we can now look back on and see evidence that Luffy doesn't have the Gomu Gomu no Mi and that there's something more at work here, though most of those hints were so subtle that they were overlooked until more recently. Similarly, upon a reread, I know I'm going to be paying extra close attention to whenever Luffy mentions or alludes to his dream. Way back here during Syrup Village, which was serialized when I was in preschool and now I'm nearly 30, he tells Kuro that his dream is much bigger, and it's easy to overlook this because aspiring to become Pirate King in and of itself is bigger than Kuro's shenanigans, but knowing what we know now, there is a lot more weight behind this. There's a lot more weight to every occurrence of Luffy alluding to his dream or ambition without outright stating Pirate King. It's become so apparent, like in the last couple of years especially, that you can't really overlook anything in One Piece. Pretty much everything amounts to a greater meaning, and you can't really take anything at face value. So now another question arises. What is Luffy's dream? What does it entail? Why must he become Pirate King to render it even possible? The one reasoning Luffy has given behind wanting to become Pirate King is because he believes that the Pirate King has the most freedom on the ocean, or something to that effect. Freedom is probably the most poignant theme in all of One Piece. Even stronger than the themes of adventure, of mystery, of discovery. Those are all important as well, but all of them have a foundation in the concept of freedom. So whatever Luffy's dream is, it essentially relies on him being the freest person on the sea. But why be confined to the seas? Why be bound to the surface of the planet at all when there's an entire sky, an entire cosmos up there? So in conjunction with numerous other factors and facets, such as Enel's cover story in which we had it explicitly confirmed that space pirates are already a thing, the fact that more space age and sci-fi elements are emerging throughout the story, which will undoubtedly lead to Vegapunk, who, mind you, from what we've seen somewhat resembles the space pirates Jolly Roger, and the recurring major imagery of heavenly bodies throughout the series, such as the sun, moon, and 3 ancient weapons islands named after Greek and Roman gods used as the namesake for planets. Poseidon is known as Neptune in Roman mythos, by the way. The potential for breaking out of the stratosphere has been present for a while. Also, even though they're quite broad, I think that there's a lot that we can derive from the reactions of the crew upon hearing Luffy reveal his dream. All of them seem to be quite in character to how I imagine they would respond to the idea of going to space. I would like to specifically point out Frankie, who is incredibly supportive because for one thing, that's just how Frankie be. And for another, if there were anyone in the crew who'd hear Luffy's ambition to go to space and immediately be like, heck yeah, let's do it, it's him. The Sunny can already fly and do all these fantastic things. Converting it into essentially a starship would be such a fulfilling challenge for Frankie. His dream is to sail the Sunny to the ends of the sea, so if the chance were to arrive for him to be able to sail her beyond even the ocean, I don't think he'd think twice about it. Also keep in mind, the ship is literally called Thousand Sunny, and a sun is literally a star. Thousand Starry almost really has a starship kind of quality about it, doesn't it? Not to mention, Oda has on occasion over the years drawn characters, specifically Luffy, in kinda spacey costuming and situations. There's a really early drawing of Luffy in an astronaut suit, as well as a much more recent illustration of him in a collaboration with Japan Aerospace Exploration Agency last year. This was actually a real-life space event called the Kibo Discover Project. I actually watched it over a Twitter live thing last year, and from what I remember, it involved the actual International Space Station as it orbited over Japan. I want to say that you could track it on your phone and it looked like the Sunny, but I don't know if I'm misremembering some of the details. But regardless of those details, the story or idea behind this collaboration was that the Straw Hats had traveled up into space to discover the great treasures of the universe. How about that? Has Oda used collaborations for foreshadowing before? Because, you know, at this point, I wouldn't put it past him. Keep your eyes peeled on the Lush collaboration, folks. I think there's gonna be something big. But anyway, aspiring to go on adventures in outer space is just so Luffy. Like, can't you imagine child Luffy looking up the stars and being like, I want to go there? And then there comes the theme of inherited will, which is right up there with freedom. Correct me if I'm wrong, but I don't believe we've ever found out exactly what Roger's dream was. I mean, he became Pirate King and all that, but what was his actual dream? And right now I can't help but think of that one panel where Shanks says that Luffy had said the exact same thing as what Roger had, leading me to this idea of inherited will. I think that whatever Luffy's dream is could be the same as what Roger's was. And another thing that I can't help but think of is the laughing. Luffy says that upon telling Shanks his dream, Shanks laughed until tears ran down his face. Well, doesn't this ring a bell? Isn't that exactly how Oden described the Roger Pirate's reaction to discovering the truth about the One Piece? Provided that these are connected, it seems as though Luffy's ultimate dream is inherently connected to the One Piece. I know that's like a water is wet-esque statement, but all these factors are bound to be connected in some kind of way. This whole chapter kind of makes me feel as though this was the big thing that Oda was looking forward to drawing at the end of Wano. He mentioned a while ago that he already had the final scene of the Wano arc planned out, and since he was likely pressured into having the end of the Wano arc line up with the launching of Film Red, a few things have had to be changed around a bit, and some things have now taken place at the start of the new arc rather than at the end of the Wano arc. And I don't know, I feel like there was a lot in this chapter that Oda was sitting on for ages, eagerly awaiting the day that he could reveal it to us. Because you can't overlook anything in this series. Speaking of not overlooking anything, I now have this little panel of Brook here where he says, I've never known anyone discontent with the way Alabasta is ruled. To add to my ever-growing pile of Brook saying highly indicative things to imply that he knows way more about the world than he lets on. Who did you know from Alabasta during the void first 38 years of your life? Tell me your secrets, Brook. Honestly though, I really love this whole scene. Like, I loved the crew's interaction. This is something I've missed. This is something we've all missed so much. Just the little things, you know? Like these guys all rallying against Zoro in defense of Vivi, and just other little things that happen in the background, like Zoro and Sanji fighting, and Brook bringing out some tea for everyone. It's all there. Since this chapter was so loaded, I'm actually putting together a second video to talk about the other thing. So I might talk a bit more about Vivi over there, but I'm really looking forward to her meeting with the Straw Hats again. It's it's one of the reunions I've always been the most excited for. I'm looking forward to her reuniting with all the crew that she traveled with. I'm looking forward to her meeting the crew members that she hasn't met yet. And maybe most of all, I'm looking forward to her meeting Robin again, because that's gonna be interesting. Also, I can't believe Karibo is in the barrel. I mean, he's been in a barrel before, but it's kind of hilarious that he's the one in there and it's not Carrot or Yamato hitching a ride as much as we'd maybe like them to. Both of them definitely have much bigger roles to play, but those are two separate videos and we're not getting into that today. So has Karibo like been in that barrel for a few days now? I mean, I suppose he can store whatever food or drink he could possibly need in that swampy body, but damn, wouldn't that get cramped? Unless he can kind of swamp into himself into some kind of pocket swamp dimension. But anyway, it looks like we're going to be arriving at the next island very soon, and we don't know what it is. That is so exciting. It's also really exciting that Bonnie is back in the picture. Like, finally, one of the other supernovas that we haven't seen much. She's likely going to be very important to this arc and this island, and there's like tons of questions that we have about her, like what exactly is her relationship with Kuma? Kuma, who mind you is back with the revolutionaries right now, so there's some kind of link or commonality there. And like last we saw Bonnie, she was sneaking into Reverie and now she's here, so that's a whole thing. You see this mystery, this intrigue, it's this certain brand of excitement that we haven't experienced in One Piece in a long time. Let me know what you guys thought of the chapter. I'll have another video on the other significant part of the chapter that'll be coming out shortly. I'm Dawn of the World and I will see you next time. Bye guys.